Everyone, happy Wednesday. Hello, Kim.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. I'm
I-
good.
I'm actually got some space in my calendar, which is crazy for me. I'm not used to that. So I'm actually been able to deep dive into some things that have been put by the wayside forever. Isn't that amazing when we actually get some space in our calendar?
It is. It is. And trying to make space and being intentional and I don't know. I'm finding that is I was actually in a group yesterday, and it was, six other women and business owners, and that was the one thing that they've all struggled with is that we overcommit on our time, which ends up leading to burnout or not being for me, it means that I don't get to serve my clients the way that I want to serve them. And so then it ends up in a spin cycle in my own mind, even when
Yeah,
I
because you always service your clients well. You're my social media person, but in your head, you feel like you could be doing better if you had more space in
more
your
space. Yes. So I've been actually time blocking. So, yep.
time blocking works. And it's really important with time blocking also to get your marketing done, which is why we're here today, is to talk about marketing. And I have to tell you, I'm glad we're talking about Instagram. It's so frustrating to me that years ago, and I know a lot of people are going to relate to this, people could grow their Instagram so fast. Not that they didn't put the effort in, they did, but putting the effort in actually got you more followers, where now it's much harder to grow your following. So it's frustrating.
Right. And it's understandably so because a lot of times they're trying to do the same strategy that we used last year, and that strategy isn't working anymore.
Oh,
So that's why we're talking today to kind of bring everybody up to speed. For an example, like if your strategy that you're using last year was mostly posting to your feed, sometimes stories, it's not unusual if your reach and you're not and you are getting as many followers because your reach is down at least 25% compared to a year ago.
really?
Yes, and so it's because of the way that the neighborhoods are working, the new updates in their feed, and the strategies that you can implement. But today we're going to give you some great tips on how you can do this without it taking hours and hours and hours of time and stress.
Also, just before we get started, talk to everyone about, because I know what you mean by Instagram neighborhoods, and I did put it
Yep.
in the description a little bit. But talk a little bit about the neighborhoods, and then we'll go into.
Okay, so on Instagram, it's more than just like one platform. There's lots of different places where you can show up. And where most of us show up is in the feed. And that's the piece that you'll see that you'll post your image and you'll be able to see everybody else's feed. So that's where 90% of us show up all the time.
And I call that my wall,
Yep, some people call it a wall,
the
feed,
grid. Just where
grid.
all your pictures are. That's
Yeah,
called the feed,
right.
the wall, the grid. Okay, all the
Yes,
same thing.
it's all the same thing. It's typically a static image that you'll post with a caption. It's typically what that is.
Okay.
Then you also have the stories, and I like to include stories and highlights together. So your stories, that's the stuff that's the little circles on the top in case people aren't familiar, because recently I had someone that had no idea what a story was. So those are the little circles on top of the Instagram when you open up the app. And then posting to them and then saving them. So if you post something about you, a behind the scenes or your team or a project, you can save them to what's called highlights, and highlights will stay forever. And they are a good way for people. Like if I'm going to be working, like when I was starting to work with you, I went and looked at your highlights because I wanted to see who you were and who you've been through the last year or whatever, how long your highlights are. And I was able to capture your personality and who you were really quickly through the highlights. So stories are more about creating that community. It's more about doing life with people, where your wall is kind of like if you walk into someone's house and you see the pretty stuff on, like you see what they want, where the stories really, you can invite someone into your kitchen and have coffee, if that makes sense. So if you think of like rooms in the house where your dining room or your living room is a little bit more formal, sometimes tends to be where you have, and so that's kind of where your feed, your grid
Okay,
is.
so your feed, it's interesting that you're using this as an analogy because it actually is connecting with my brain. So I like it. So The feed is like your dining room, the more formal, what you want people to sort of see of your professional self
Correct.
and your
Correct.
work.
Correct.
And what you can do. And in my case, it's motivational, it's tips and things like that. And then your stories are more like a family photo wall in a way. Like that's the way
Correct.
I look at it. In
Yep.
your house, the family photo wall is going to show kind of like what you do outside of work.
Correct. Or it's or you think about having a conversation and have a cup of coffee. Like when you ask questions, it's like, do you like decaf or regular? Do you like coffee or tea? Because I'm going to ask you that if you came to my house. I'd say, hey, Nancy, what do you want? I've got decaf or regular. Do you want cream or do you drink it black? Do you want sugar or honey?
I'll take
So,
French vanilla creamer. Thank you.
so, but that way, then I'm developing that relationship and getting to know you a little bit better. So stories are a great way for people to get to know who you are, which fills into that whole social marketing is we do business with people we know, like, and trust. We can know, like, and trust you because we get to see who you are.
And it is so true. I have to tell you, like I went onto someone's Instagram feed yesterday and it's funny you're saying this because I don't know how often I do this, but I noticed I went right to the highlights and I was looking where she's traveled, where she's this, and I wanted to know about who this person really was at the core of her, not what she was just posting on her wall or her grid.
Right.
Like that's the public persona, her work, what she wants to relay. But the stories, the highlights really showed me who she was as a person.
Correct, correct. And you can also use it like I have one of my highlights as reels that I love, and I'm using that as a tool or a resource for people that either coach with me or consult with me or work with me. So then they don't have to go and search for reel ideas. They can just go to my highlight and they can see reels that I love, and then they can get an idea of what is kind of up and going on. So I'm making it easier for my clients that working with me. So you can use them for a little bit, but that again, that it tells something about who I am, that I really
Yes.
care about who my clients are. So I'm willing to give love to other people because I can't do all these reels.
I
So,
know, I know. It's a lot.
right,
So, okay. So
right,
the different neighborhoods, the feed, the stories, the highlights.
right. And then we count videos / reels. So Instagram has done this huge change. Used to have IGTV. We don't have that anymore, but it's all now, all videos that are under 15 minutes are reels. And so
Oh,
that is that is a neighborhood. It's not a new neighborhood. Reels have been a neighborhood, but that is a neighborhood that needs to be focused on. And then a little bit here, we'll talk about strategies on how you should post and how much you should post to each neighborhood and what the data is showing on why you want to do that. But so
okay.
the reels, video and reels are like synonymous.
Reels are so intimidating. Like, at
Right.
least my generation, they're so intimidating.
We're way, way overthinking.
I
I've been
know.
really experimenting with them and really sharing some of the simplest things have been the most impactful for the reels. But again, there's always that dichotomy of reach versus
Sorry, I put that up right in the middle of one of your sentences.
reach versus kind of like impact and engagement and who you really want. Like we can reach 10,000 people, but if we're only engaging or they're only like 1,000 are going to be like our potential clients or our customers or people we're serving, there's always that balance. So you want to make sure that the reels make sense for your business is what I'm trying to
Okay,
say.
and I just want to put, I think you said it to me once. I don't even know if it was on a live or in private, but we get like, oh my God, only 25 people liked it. But think about walking into a room and 25 people are 100% focused on your content. Like that's not too shabby. If it's 100 people, 1,000 people, imagine walking into an auditorium. So when you think your numbers aren't good, put it in perspective that had you walked into a room and had that many people listening to you or looking at you and
Right.
listening, that's not too shabby.
Well, and most people that like the interior designers or coaches, even we're service providers. So there's a limit on how many we can really serve. So,
Yes.
so if we get one person and they turn into a client, that's pretty good
Right. Perspective.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, all right. So Karen's asking, is there a resource to learn how to turn a photo panning across into a reel? So it's not really a photo unless it's a panoramic, but still, I'm not sure we know what you're talking about, Karen. Do you, Kim?
And I don't, but Karen, I'm not for sure if you realize that there's a new option on Instagram and it just has been released. I don't have it. I look to see, but there's some templates that maybe that would be a great place to put that in if that's what you're trying.
Is templates for
Instagram or Reels have a option for templates.
I didn't know that either.
And I wasn't able to, mine doesn't have it yet. So
This will just take a
Oh,
second.
now I got mine going. I was just looking to see.
the other option would be is if you could upload, and I'm not for sure how the photo would upload into Canva. If you, because I've been creating reels for our clients in Canva and it's been quite successful.
Taking a photo and panning from left to right across the width of a photo, making it look as though it's a video. So in other words, it's I guess you've seen people do this. Might be something we have to look into.
Yes. Yeah, I'll make a note.
So I have a feeling there are different apps that you can use, and I've downloaded many of them and then use them once or twice and never use them again, where you can create reels.
Right. Right. And like I said, we've been doing reels for our clients on Canva. And it's been working good. And actually, I had a client that had a video and she wanted an intro and an outro on it. And I did that in Canva.
So
So-
Canva has a bigger ability than I think most people are using.
Right.
So I wonder if Canva has this ability to take a photo and then have it move.
I'm not for sure. So that would be, it would be interesting to check that out.
I
But
love
we
this
can-
stuff, Karen, just so you know. And this is where I hit Google usually first. And believe it or not, YouTube has a ton of videos. Knowing what to Google and how to Google is actually a talent that I've taught many
Right.
people, right? If you
Right.
could Google and find nothing, or you can Google, how do I take a still photo and turn it into a Instagram reel?
Right. And
And
I would do a panoramic photo because
Again, yeah, more to go across. I will look into that. My
My
19-year-old son
son did
did it for me. I said, oh my God, I have the same issue.
Yep.
Every time my kids teach me something and then they disappear. And I'm like, wait, I need more information. So yeah, Karen, tune in next time and let us know how that goes. But I'm also going to look into it myself because I think that's a great idea. Don't you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you're a designer, that would be kind of really cool. Like,
Yeah, and I have
Yeah.
seen people do it. So I do okay, so who's saying I post photos as reels? If there's a link to give Be Live permission to see your name, that's all it does. They don't spam you. It's nothing like that. So if whoever wrote that wants to, I think it says favored Ruth. I post photos as reels. So when you post photos as reels, Kim, it's just doing it like a carousel.
kind of, and it'll be actually like a video, but it's the photos and then they'll flip through and stuff. And there are some really cool reels done through the photos. So you don't always need video.
Okay. So and you're using Canva, your company, which does social media for people,
Yep,
using
yep.
Canva to create reels.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And I've downloaded some apps too I've been playing with on a personal level. But so once I get more, like if I find something super cool, I'll make sure everybody here knows. So
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So let's go on to the next.
So
Go ahead. We did all the neighborhoods, correct?
Yep. So I'm just going to do some best practices overall, and then we're going to dive into what to post on which different neighborhood. So the biggest thing with the algorithm is posting original content. So if you find a meme that you love, take the extra few minutes, and if you can, if it's like a quote, recopy it, put it in your brand, and use your own original photos. Use your own original work instead of using, say that I have or Nancy has an image you like, instead of taking Nancy's image and reusing that, use original content. That wins hands down over anything.
But I want them to share my content.
You want them to share it, but that's different than posting it as original content.
Gotcha. So if you're sharing from, let's say, my reels, to my stories to your stories, that's one thing. But if you're posting it as if it's original content on your wall,
Right. We see this happen a lot more in Facebook because it's a lot more easier to share or to swipe an image and share. Instagram, you have to screenshot. It's a little bit harder to do.
right?
Um,
Okay.
so
So put the background on your own branded color square, do the quote, give whoever credit if they made the quote, but create your own image.
create your own image, use your own photos for your projects. If you're, showcasing what designs you've done, using original content is like the top thing, is that they reward that.
Okay.
The second thing is when we create reels, we want to think about creating engaging reels. So making sure it's a vertical video when you're doing that, and then paying attention to how much of the reel gets watched. So if your reel is 10 seconds and someone watches all 10 seconds of it, that means it's been watched 100%. If your reel is 30 seconds and they only watch 10 seconds of it, reel watch was only 30%. And so Instagram is going to show the ones that are 100%. They're going to show the ones that are more people are interested in. So make sure that your reels that you're posting are engaging and that people are, if you're going to,
or that they're only 10 seconds.
right. You want to make it so that people want to watch them, and it shows Instagram that people are watching it to the 100%, and that shows people that they would like it. So
Okay.
definitely that would be one. And then the last thing as far as reels is no watermarks, no third-party apps on their reel, no TikTok on their reel, no, that's a big no. Like, it's just, you can do it, but if you want the algorithm to work in your favor, that's not going to help.
Okay.
Okay. And then a thing that we tend to not think about when it's posted to Instagram or any of the social platforms is making sure you use your keywords that matter to your business. And that reflects from your bio, making sure that your keywords are in your bio, and that when someone comes to your Instagram, they know who you are and what your brand reflects. And then using your keywords in your captions, your posts, in your hashtags. And then, since Instagram is so image driven, making sure that you use your keywords and your alt text on your image. And this is something that I'm not very good at, and most people aren't either. And so what the alt text does is that you can put it right on your image. So if you're posting directly to Instagram from your phone or whatever, and not using a third party, it's really easy to do when you're going through and it says to edit your screen, and then there'll be a thing that says option that says advanced. Let me see what's the exact word. It is advanced settings. You click on that, and then you could put your alt text in there. And the
alt text is for the sight impaired. Oh no, hearing impaired, correct? I thought alt text was for the hearing impaired, but I did read, same as you, that if you actually use it, it helps the algorithm because
so Instagram is trying to read the images as well as the caption. So it's part of their whole thing. And so if you have your alt text in there, then it's, so for me, I just had a testimonial. So I just went in there and I edited it after it was posted and just said social media testimonial. So that way they'll know what that's about. So if you're interested or you search social media testimonial, then my image will come up. My post will come up quicker.
Gotcha. So it's not just based on the text that people are reading in your description of your post. It's also, or in comments, it's also the alt text.
Right. And so we use a third-party scheduler. So what is a good practice for us is to go in and edit those images after they've been posted. And it's real simple to do, is just edit the image, hit the little bottom, it says edit alt text, and add it in there. So that is something we will start to implement on our team. Now that I was reminded of it again, we're always
there's a lot to remember to do social media. It's crazy.
There is, but I make it a practice to go on for 10 minutes every morning to just engage and share things to my stories. That's a great way to quickly update if you do use a third-party scheduler.
Yes. Okay.
And so now let's talk about when to post and where to post. And a lot of this depends on how many followers you have. So I'm
Okay.
going to give you some numbers, and you might need to re-listen to this
I was going to say, I'm getting my pen and paper. Okay, go ahead.
if you're watching this, you might want to listen to find out where you fall. So if you have 0 to 500 followers,
Yeah.
a recent survey or report just came out that you should post on average 3 posts a week on your feed or the wall. And then it also gave numbers of people, how far that reached. That would normally typically reach about 96 is the number that they gave us.
96 people?
Yes.
Oy, okay.
You should do on average 4 stories a week.
Oh.
Now, this is what the number really surprised me is that you're probably only going to reach 43 people.
What, for each story or?
On that's just the average reach. Let me see if it's per story.
I would assume it's per story. But that
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, average reach per content type.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then when you think about it though, again, poster dining room stories. So you're going to have a lot of acquaintances, but you're not going to have many best friends. So that makes sense. At first I was like, what? Say what?
Okay,
Like,
so acquaintances is like your feed or your wall, and then your
Yep.
best friends will go into quote unquote best friends will
Right.
go into stories and deep dive into who you
and
are.
they're going to engage and answer your questions and those kind of things.
Gotcha.
Yep. And then one reel, and that
One
reel
reel.
has the potential of 1.2K for a reach.
1.2 thousand reach for one reel. Oh my God.
So you can see the difference.
I hate.
Okay. So let's hop up because most of the people that I do audits for you are either the 0 to 500 or 500 to 1,000. The 500 to 1,000 would be 3 posts with a reach of 292, 8 stories with a reach of 114, and 1 reel with a reach of 1.6K.
Wow. Okay, so this is weekly. We're suggesting.
Yes, this
based
is
on this
weekly. So
report.
this kind of gives you a guideline on what you should be posting, which kind of takes the pressure out of like, oh my gosh, I have to do like 10 reels a week. No, one.
Yeah,
We can do
one.
that. Yes.
One. Okay.
If you have a followers of 2 to 10,000.
2 to
we should be-
10,000. That's where I
Yep.
fit in. What happens?
Right, but we're going to shoot higher for you. We're doing the next one for you, but this is the one because it's not that high because we're just got a little reach to go to get that 10,000.
Yeah, I know. Okay, go
4
ahead.
posts a week,
4 posts.
a reach of 964,
964.
15 stories,
Oh,
a reach of 244,
okay.
and 1 reel, 3.4K.
Well, I love this. Only 1 reel a week is any of the categories is only suggesting 1 reel a week. So stories 15 is a lot.
But when you think about it, if you have a story strategy, it's not that much. So if you did some behind the scenes, a couple, I mean, I'm working with a gal and she does a lot with national parks. So I'm going on in the morning and I start sharing all the other national park stuff. Like find your niche, find your other designers, other inspiration, people that you follow. It's not as much as what you think once you.
So you can share other people's stuff in stories.
You can. I would still encourage you to come up with your own stories, original content again, but you can share. So when you have that mix, it's not as much as it sounds like a lot, but when you have a strategy, it's not as much as what you think. So
Okay, so everyone needs a story strategy.
yep. And then the next one, which we are actually striving for you, I think that you fall more in this, is a 10 to 50K.
10 to 50K. Everybody go follow me on Instagram at Nancy Ganzakova. It's just my name because I need to get up to this category. Okay.
Right. 5 posts a week,
5 posts.
reach of 4.4K, 26 stories,
Jeez. Okay.
698 reach, and then at 1 to 2 reels. And so that is even 1 to 2 reels. Like it's not like.
And what's the reach on that?
16.8K.
Which held true for my reel with my dog in it, which was the most popular post I had.
Right.
So,
right.
Okay.
So those are some guidelines and some tips. And hopefully that encourages people not to like, you don't have to post every day. You don't have to post 5 times a day. It's try to post, but make sure that the content is quality and it's consistent.
So do less, but make it better quality. Can we just talk quickly, because I did put it in the description, about DMing people. I get private message or direct message through Instagram all day long, constantly. And it normally goes into the spam bucket because it's just people trying to sell me services.
Right.
but
So-
people are using it to create relationships.
They are. But again, think about relationships. So if I saw a post that you had that inspired me, I could, if I wanted to build a closer to relationship with you, I could say, Nancy, great post. I really appreciate it. Thanks for motivating my morning. Hope you have a great day. And then next week, if you have another one, I could either do that again, or like if I found something like, hey, Nancy, I saw this post on someone else's feed and I thought it reminded me of you, type thing.
Yes.
Building that relationship is key. Once you build that relationship, then you can talk about selling, but not until you build that relationship.
Yes, and let me tell you something. Hey, I love your content. I'm this and would love to see if you need my services. Don't do that, because I
No.
just I literally delete all of them. Like, that's correct. That's direct spam, instead of, like you're saying, which I think is the right way to do it, obviously, is to create the relationship. Hey, that was really helpful today. Be complimentary to them. Don't always be looking for what's in it for you. Just build the relationship.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So many good tips today, Kim.
Lots of stuff. And we just talked about Instagram, not anything else.
I know. And I think it's probably going to be a good idea for us to do that. Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, like separate, kind of like we do in our meetings, like starting to talk about each platform separately so people can get more deep dive. And if they need to find you, tell them if they need help with their social media, where they can get to you.
FreshImpactLLC.com or KimVanderpool.com. Either one.
Okay, and go give Kim's Instagram some love also, so that her and I and mine, so that we can keep growing and keep staying here giving you tips. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.